Hi there. It's May 28th and we're continuing our journey through the book of 2nd Samuel, which is part in the Hebrew scriptures of the former prophets, the Nevi'im Rishonim, and we've come to chapter 13. Now chapter 13 follows on the tragic story of the adultery of David with Bathsheba and the murder of Uriah and the death of David and Bathsheba's son. And so here in chapter 13 we're also seeing some of the unraveling of the consequences in David's family. Amnon is David's eldest son. Amnon was born in Hebron in Judah when David was first king for 7.5 years in Judah, and he is the son of Ahinoam, one of David's first wives, and he is the heir apparent. He is the one who would have inherited the crown. He has a half-sister, Tamar. Tamar means a palm tree, a beautiful woman, and Amnon desires his half-sister, Tamar. Tamar, also another character in this story, is Absalom. Absalom, we call him. And Absalom and Tamar are both the children of the marriage of David to Maachah. Maachah is of the royal household of Geshur, which is a province to the northeast of Galilee, and they are the grandchildren of Talmai, who's the king of Geshur. And so Amnon desires Tamar, and he actually is so passionate about her that he's almost making himself ill. And so his cousin Yonadav, and Yonadav is the nephew of David, he's the son of Shemer, one of the brothers of David, and he is called a shrewd man. Now interestingly, the Hebrew uses the word hacham here, which means wise. He's a wise man, but it's not wise in the positive way. It means he's very crafty, he's very shrewd. And Yonadav suggests that Amnon deceives Tamar to get her into his room, and that then he convinces her to sleep with him. And so he pretends to be ill. Tamar brings him food, and while she's in the room, he asks her to come to bed with him. And Tamar, of course, resists this and says not such a thing should not be done in Israel. This would be incest and would be unacceptable. And he forces her and he rapes her. And then to make things worse, he pushes her away, he sends her away, and she is just distraught and she tears her clothes. Her brother Absalom sees what's happened, and he actually already instinctively knows. He doesn't even have to have it explained. He says, Amnon has been with you, hasn't he? And so he says, don't worry, I'm going to sort this out. Now, the revenge of Absalom takes several years. 2 years later, when Absalom is sheep shearing up at Bahatzor, which is on the border between Ephraim and Benjamin's territories, he invites the king and all his sons to come for a feast. David declines and says, no, I have other engagements, I have other business, I'm not coming. But Absalom particularly asks that Amnon should come. David says, why do you want him to come? But Absalom presses David, and Amnon and the other sons of David come. Now, one of the things that maybe David is concerned about is that in ancient times, when you wanted to have a coup or you wanted to destroy a king, you also destroyed his sons, who could be your rivals to the throne. So perhaps David is smelling a rat already here, and he's questioning Absalom about what he's doing. But it's actually Amnon that Absalom is interested in. So they come and they have a feast, and Absalom instructs his soldiers, his troops, that when Amnon is drunk and unable to defend himself, that they kill him, and Amnon is killed. Now news comes back to Jerusalem, to David, that actually Absalom has killed all his sons, and David is absolutely thunderstruck, and he's terrified to hear this. However, news quickly comes by Yonadav. Yonadav is this is the nephew of David, who actually originally told Amnon to perpetrate the deceit to get Tamar. And Yonadav is now saying, no, David, don't worry, it's not all your sons who are dead, it's only Amnon, the one who did this. It's the only Amnon who's dead. Absalom, in the meantime, flees. He leaves the town, as it were, and he goes back to Geshur, to the territory of his mother and to his grandfather Talmai, and he takes refuge there for 3 years. During that 3 years, David processes his grief over the loss of Amnon, and we hear at the end of chapter 13 that he's longing for Absalom to return, but he doesn't feel able to call him back because of the terrible thing that's happened. One of the things we see in this chapter is the terrible consequences of uncontrolled desire, and particularly the power of men over women, and the strength that is used against Tamar, and she is pleading with Amnon not to do what he's going to do. Not only does this result in her rape, but also eventually in the death of Amnon himself, in the estrangement of Absalom from David. There's something so powerful that we need to recognize about uncontrolled lust, and that it's not a simple thing, it's a very strong thing, and in God's eyes he sees this. He has put a powerful thing within us in terms of sexual drive and desire, but only when it is harnessed, only when it is reined in, can it really serve God's purposes. When it's allowed just to be uncontrolled and unharnessed, then it can cause untold tragedy, as we see in this story. Have a very good May the 28th.